Welcome again to another week here with Lawn Care with Daryl. And this week we're going to be talking about our sprinkler system that we've set up, and we'll also be discussing the soil samples that we've taken. But first though, let's talk about the soil samples that we took and our results. Now, I took these samples a few weeks ago before we applied anything to the lawn whatsoever. And we take those from multiple places in the yard, and you dig down about 4 to 6 inches to get your dirt sample, mix them together from several different holes. Now, in our yard is large, so we did 2 separate samples, one for the upper part of the lawn and one for the lower part of the lawn. Now, our results, as expected, are low in everything. And we talked about this lawn not having anything done to it for 30 years, so that's not surprising. And we're going to concentrate on the macronutrients, the nitrogen N, the phosphorus P, and the potassium K. These are what you see listed on bags of fertilizer as the 3 main ingredients. And that's what we're going to focus on for this lawn, getting it started. And we'll look at the micronutrients next year as we tweak and make things a little bit better. Now, the N, the nitrogen, that's for top growth, leaf growth. And the P, the phosphorus, is for root development and root growth, which is very important with the newly seeded lawn that we're doing. And finally, the K is for overall plant growth, for the roots and the stems and overall. Now, what does ours look like? Well, here's how it turned out. So for nitrogen, we had 2.74 parts per million, and you want 7 to 18. Extremely low, right? Yeah, we're way low. Our phosphorus was 1.07 for a range of 5 to 11 parts per million. And our potassium was 6.51 with a range of 38 to 72. Now, I can tell you that the potassium generally runs a little lower around here. I know in my lawn it does, and I will admit that specifically a little higher with some other stuff, and that'll come next year. So we'll definitely be amending the soil. We'll be using a starter fertilizer, and we'll discuss fertilizers in depth in a later video. But for now, let's talk about the sprinkler system. So before you get started on your sprinkler system, you need to test your water supply. You need to find out how much water pressure you have in PSI, pounds per square inch, using a gauge. And you also need to judge how much flow of water you have, or the rate of flow of your water in gallons per minute. And that's done with a watch and a bucket. Now, once you have this information, you can then go and plan how many heads you can put on a zone and make sure that you can feed that many sprinkler heads at one time, and how many zones you're going to need, the distance that's going to be needed between the zones, and how far away that you can put the sprinkler heads themselves. And you can refer to the manufacturer's websites for these specs. Now, another good thing though is available that some of the manufacturers on their websites, they actually offer a service to help you design the layout of your lawn sprinkler system and heads and so forth from some input that you can provide to them. So that's a great tool. Now, I didn't use that tool. I did the planning myself. Whatever you do, your objective is to have adequate sprinkler coverage where you have no dry spots. You want the entire area that's being seeded covered with the sprinklers and covered with the water coming out from the sprinklers. Our sprinkler system is an above ground system, and we're going to control it with a Wi-Fi enabled timer for the different zones that hooks to the hose bib on the house. The sprinklers themselves are attached to a PVC sled, and we're using that to set up our different zones. So we used the Rainbird pop-up heads and developed our system with that. So let's head on over to the project lawn and look at what we have built.
So I've pre-assembled some of the pieces here. I've got the feet assembled for the sled using the PVC primer and glue. I've also pre-assembled the sprinkler heads with the proper diameter orifice for the spray head and set it for the right angle, and I've marked them so I know where they go. When they're assembled, they'll attach onto the end of the pipe. There'll be a long length of pipe between the 2 feet. This we will attach on site so that we can make sure we have the angle correct. And then this particular one here has the attachment for the garden hose that will attach in at that end of the head. so that we can attach our garden hose and feed the water. We're doing 3/4 inch all the way. Okay, so we're going to attach the feet to the length of pipe, and then we'll attach all the length of the pipe together and make sure that our feet are level to the ground. After we get all the pipe and both feet attached, we'll come back and attach the sprinkler head at the proper angle. So to get started, let's go ahead and glue this up here, put a little solvent on there, and then some of the PVC glue. This is messy stuff. And push it together, give it a twist, and hold it for a few seconds. And that's pretty much all you got to do. That gets us flat to the ground. We do have a pitch here in the yard. That's why we wait to attach this later, so we make sure we have this level to the ground. We'll be showing you that here in just a minute. Okay, now we're just going to move down the pipe. Okay, so we're ready to attach this other end of the feet. Make sure we're good to the ground and level so nothing's sticking up. And then once we do that, we will attach the head and get it properly aligned. Let's get the feet done. Get it put on, get it on the ground so she lays flat like she's supposed to. Give it a second to firm up. It only takes about 30 seconds for this to take hold. And now we've got to put the sprinkler head on. They have this tool here to help you get it level so you can eyeball it, but I've got the little tool, so we're going to use it. Pull this out and snap this on. And it has a little bubble level here to help us get it aligned up. So what we're going to do is we're going to trial fit it first. Check the bubble. Get her lined up. There we go. And then we're going to mark the pipe and the fitting, so when we come back, we're going to be sure that we hit the mark. And that'll ensure that we're nice and level for the head to spray properly. Get our solvent. And get our glue. Put this on, lining up the lines and holding it in place. And we'll move down to the other end and do the other head the same way. And this sled is finished.
So there you have it. Our sprinkler system has started to be set up, so we'll be prepared to irrigate the water as we need to be. And you probably saw in the video this week where the grass is starting to brown for where we spread our non-selective herbicide last. Thank you again for joining us here at Lawn Care with Daryl. Remember to hit that bell to like and subscribe, share it with your buddies, and make sure you get those reminders when the new videos come out. Again, thanks for being here.